Thanks for joining me on Tropical Weather Impact. It's Thursday, July 24th. Here in New Orleans, we're finally about to get a break from this intense heat wave we've been dealing with, but it comes in the form of this tropical disturbance with some rain. So while this morning has been mostly dry, we are expecting passing showers and storms for about the next 3 days along the northern Gulf here. This tropical disturbance is going to control our weather. Main things we're watching out for: isolated street flooding and frequent lightning. If you've been around the past 24 hours, we had some really big lightning storms last night that pushed in with this disturbance. So here's where we stand as of Thursday morning. This was the 7 a.m. outlook from the National Hurricane Center here Central Time. They're still only giving it a 10% chance of development. They're not extremely excited about it because it doesn't have a lot of time and it's still got a lot of wind shear that's working on it. And so organization of it today is probably not going to be anything too wild here. You've got this large area of showers and storms. It really is an elongated trough of low pressure, meaning it's not concentrated enough to get that designation to, or at least for it to ramp up. Now, this is still going to send us some rain. So the thinking is this trough of low pressure is going to pass south of Louisiana and move towards the Texas coast. Thursday today it's here. By Friday it's approaching Texas, and then by Saturday it has moved inland. Now, while there is only a 10% chance of development right now from the Hurricane Center, I do see a scenario where it may have a brief, very brief opportunity to try to wrap up and become a depression. And that would probably or could happen sometime later Friday, right in this corridor here before it actually moves inland into Texas. Now, remember, the threshold between a depression and this blob of mess here is really not a whole lot. You're getting into the weeds of meteorology. What would make this a depression is that it's a closed circulation and there's storms around the center. And so how that happens is you've got to let the wind shear weaken, and that's how it concentrates and actually develops into a depression itself. So not sold that's going to happen, but I do see a scenario where there will be a brief opportunity somewhere in there later Friday before it moves inland. Either way, it's just going to be a rainmaker at the end of the day here. We're going to continue to see scattered showers and storms along the northern Gulf and over into Texas over the next solid 3 days are here. Analyzing satellite this morning, you can see you do have a broad kind of circulation in here at the surface levels. Well, I'm going to turn off these winds very quickly so you can get an idea on what's actually happening to it right now. So this is your elongated surface trough that's got showers and storms around it. Now there's this fairly stout wind shear coming in from the northeast. Now these are winds that are 30,000 plus feet up in the atmosphere. What they're doing here is there's an upper level low here, there's high pressure here, and you've got this funneled area of stronger winds in the upper level. So that's the wind shear this thing's going to be battling. And it's actually going to be moving with the wind shear. And so whenever you have winds pushing on these thunderstorms, what happens here is the thunderstorms, they develop, they shoot up into the atmosphere 20, 30, 40,000 feet up. They run into these upper level winds, they get tilted, and they get blown away from where the center is trying to form. And so that's why wind shear is a limiting factor in tropical development. You want low wind shear and warm waters. Now we've got the warm waters, that's a given right now. It's about 90 degrees in the northern Gulf, but there is still this fairly healthy amount of wind shear blowing down on it. When you go out in time here though, our wind shear forecast does show that brief opportunity where maybe it's trying to wrap up into a depression right before it moves inland here later Friday. So this is now. There's that long fetch of strong winds that's pushing down on this system at the moment. As we go out in motion, you can see the wind shear stays elevated through today, so this is probably still unorganized through today. Going out in motion here further in time into Friday, you can see there you still got wind shear Friday morning, but as we get into Friday evening, somewhere in here, we start to see that upper level low back away. The ridge of high pressure is still sitting here. Now you still have some shear, but it lessens some. And so maybe that's your brief opportunity. If that center of low pressure finds a little pocket of good environment or quieter atmosphere, it could try to wrap up somewhere in here as it moves inland. We've seen this happen countless times. Now, this is a very hard thing for models to see because a lot of times this is happening on scales that are smaller than what the models can actually resolve. But that's the thing I'm saying. It wouldn't be shocking if we do try to get something trying to look a little bit more organized here. I don't think it's necessarily going to be extremely organized in any of these areas right in south of Louisiana, but the closer it gets to Texas, Corpus Christi to Houston, maybe a depression trying to form. And again, the messaging is this is just a big big rainmaker at the end of the day. So we've got the wind shear. We have got the warm water temperatures too. So it's traveling in this corridor of the upper 80s. That helps create instability in the atmosphere, and you see showers and storms form fairly easily. It's just they're not able to organize because of that wind shear that's currently ongoing. Now, as this continues to move across the northern Gulf here, showers and thunderstorms are going to be easy to find. I mean, that's a given here. This is what we look like this morning. Scattered rain all across the northern Gulf, down into the Gulf itself. But again, you still got this elongated area of showers and thunderstorms battling this year. Fast forward and put it into this afternoon. Notice we've got heavy downpours all along the northern Gulf. Not out of the norm for this time of year. Some of these are producing heavy rain, frequent lightning, and occasionally some gusty winds. Now, as we fast forward into tonight and tomorrow, notice we might start to see that low pressure trying to consolidate some as it begins to move into slightly less wind shear Friday evening. It'll have that brief opportunity to try to wrap up right in there. But again, you're getting into the weeds of meteorology. The difference between that and a depression is not really anything. And so at the end of the day, the showers will be moving into Texas here, whether it's a depression or an unorganized low. And that'll begin to pick up in the Texas coastal areas by Friday afternoon into Friday evening. You can see that low moves inland. Now, on the same token, we're still getting passing showers here on the northern Gulf. So even though this system is pushing away, it's still muggy, it's still warm, we still have instability. And so Friday afternoon, Friday evening, I've got scattered showers and thunderstorms across Louisiana, across Mississippi, and back through the Alabama coast. And then once we're into Saturday, the system has moved inland. It's no longer going to develop anything, but you still got humidity and disturbed weather across the northern Gulf here with some rounds of heavy showers. And so our chance of rain is going to be elevated Thursday, today, Friday, and into Saturday. I always get questions anytime we're tracking these systems. If you are traveling down to any of these areas, Louisiana, all the way back through the Florida Panhandle, even the Texas coast, please do not cancel your plans. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to be beautiful sunshiny days, but it's late July. Rain chances on any given July day are fairly high, and so don't cancel plans. You're just going to be dodging showers and storms. Maybe bring those shoes that you don't mind getting on the muddy side. So we're going to watch this flood risk. I do think it's going to be isolated in nature. Our flood risk overall is could materialize in a couple of spots. These are tropical downpours. We can measure how much moisture is actually in the atmosphere, and it's extremely high right now thanks to this tropical disturbance. And so that means that any shower or thunderstorm that forms, the rainfall rates are going to be really high. I think widespread between the next 3 days, widespread 1 to 3 inches. Now, the caveat is there will be pockets of higher amounts. We see this with every tropical disturbance or just any given summertime day. You obviously have these little spots that pick up and overachieve 4, 5, 6, even 8 inches. It shows you the atmosphere is capable of that over the next 3 days. You just hope it doesn't stall over you. You hope it doesn't all fall at once. You can handle 1 to 3 inches over 3 days. It's that 2 to 4, 5 inches that falls in less than 2 hours that can cause your flooding problems. So that's the main thing we're going to be watching here for this disturbance. Our flood risk, again, it is limited. This is our flood risk for the next 3 days, specifically across Southeast Louisiana and the New Orleans metro, where we forecast specifically for. They are highlighting a level 1 out of 4. This is based on a percentage or the chance of you seeing street flooding, and so the chances are just very isolated today, tomorrow, and Saturday. This is what our flood risk looks like any given summertime day when a pop-up storm happens. In fact, the atmosphere is going to have some movement to it today and tomorrow, and so that could limit the flood risk. What's interesting, by Saturday, the atmosphere starts to slow down as our ridge of high pressure builds in, and so the flood risk actually could end up being higher on Saturday, even though the disturbance has moved away. With slower movement, thunderstorms that pop up don't move, and a stationary thunderstorm this time of year is going to drop a lot of rain. And so just, you got to be on the watch out for this at any given moment living down here on the Gulf Coast. As we go through the end of the weekend, though, I do think our disturbance starts to lose its hold on us, and we're going to get back into our pattern where we're hotter and drier. We're going to be watching this big ridge of high pressure get really strong over a large portion of the U.S. You can see that ridge is increasing as we go in towards the end of the weekend. So Sunday into Monday, that ridge is centered back over us, and that means our heat is going to really ramp up early next week, not only here near the deep south, but we have hot temperatures all across the central and eastern U.S. So a lot of the country, at least in the central and eastern parts of the country, are getting ready for a big heat wave through the end of the weekend and especially early next week. Now, what's interesting is this moisture from this tropical disturbance might end up coming back to revisit us for the third time. And it has to do with what's happening here. We have another ridge of high pressure that's going to build in. That moisture is going to ride around it and then probably get pushed back our direction by the middle of next week. Now, next week, I think the ridge will probably keep the showers and storms north of the Gulf, so I'm not sure we're going to be tracking any potential tropical development, but overall, I don't think we're done with the showers and storms as we go into next week either. So we're just stuck in this little routine here, and as long as we can keep them weak, get some rain in here, and knock down that heat some, not necessarily a bad thing. That is the latest, though, as of your Thursday morning tropical update. We'll be updating you here tomorrow right here on Tropical Weather Impact. I want to thank you so much for joining me. Make sure you're staying dry.